Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Thrown under the bus.
No. Always live. Always real. Always unpredictable.
You with me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Log on and join our live conversation.
I'm in. Tori just won't let it go.
DBL starts right now.
Welcome to Daily Blast Live. It's Thursday, April 11th. We're live, guys. We're talking about what you're talking about right now. I'm here with Al, Stephanie, Brandon. I'm Tori, and we all look fantastic.
Yes.
Sam Shocker is on assignment. Let's get started. We are following big news out of London, guys. London, where police have arrested WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. He was arrested at the Ecuadorian embassy in London after they withdrew his asylum. The bearded Assange was seen shouting and gesturing as police dragged him away. Assange is being charged by the U.S. on conspiracy to hack a Department of Defense computer in 2010 and will likely face extradition to the United States. Now, Assange has been holed up at the Ecuadorian embassy for 7 years. Wow. Ever since, the prompter just went, was granted asylum to avoid charges in Sweden. That case has since been dropped. WikiLeaks has published a lot of sensitive material, often stolen from computers, including nearly 20,000 emails from Democratic National Committee staffers in 2016. Now, in addition to his critics, Assange has a lot of vocal supporters, including Pamela Anderson, who tweeted out her anger to news of his arrest, saying that she's in shock and asks how could the UK and Ecuador do this. So this is a very complicated story, and a lot of people are confused, and I just want to let you know it's okay to be confused, because it's super confusing. And now Pamela Anderson's involved.
Yeah, I want to ask Tori, explain this on a more basic level, because I'm lost here.
So I'll just tell you something really quickly. He's a hero to some, he's a villain to others. Okay. So for press freedom, people like Edward Snowden and all of that, he is a total hero. He leaked classified information and allowed people to know about the Democratic National Convention and other secrets of the government. Right. However, he's not being charged with the Espionage Act of 1917. He's being charged with hacking, which is illegal and a much more valid way that the prosecutors can take him down. Now, people have been worried about his health. Apparently, he's been spreading feces on the wall with his cats. He's been kind of going downhill for a while. He's been in there 7 years. Yeah. He could never leave because the second he walked out of that embassy, he's not on Ecuadorian soil. So it's a bizarre story. Apparently, Pamela Anderson's involved. But if you believe in strict freedom for the press, you think he's a hero. If you think you can't hack CIA and deliver classified information, then he's not. So WikiLeaks isn't being touched. It's the act of hacking that is the problem.
So what does that mean for him? If he does get charged, is he going to go to prison for a really long time? Like, what does it mean for him?
Yeah, and if he's brought back to the U.S., they're considering other charges as well. But this man, it's hard, because is WikiLeaks a news organization? If it is, it has different laws and scrutiny determining whether it isn't. So it's a very multi-level.
It sounds very confusing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tori, for breaking that down.
Did that make any sense?
Yes, I'm just going to repeat what you said every time I talk to anybody. I'm just
confused why Pamela Anderson's all of a sudden involved in this.
I think they had some kind of rendezvous. Allegedly, yes.
Sam.
Okay. Now we have an update to the college admission scam. Actress Loughlin is reportedly freaking out about possible jail time. That's according to an E! News source. Lori is, quote, finally realizing just how serious the scandal is, and is, quote, seeing the light that she will be doing jail time. E! News is also reporting that she thought the DA, get this, was bluffing about jail time when she and her husband turned down the initial offer. And we're also learning that while Lori was contemplating that plea deal, her daughter, Olivia Jade, was out partying with friends. That's according to Us Weekly. Meantime, Felicity Huffman, who did accept the plea deal, may still see some jail time. And she's getting some unsolicited advice from none other than Dance Mom's Abby Lee Miller. Abby says Felicity shouldn't be too worried about fellow inmates, but rather look out for the guards, saying, quote, she's a big star, and I think when she gets there, they're going to be out for her. Abby goes on to say, be respectful to everyone, keep a very low profile, be kind to people, tell your story, but listen.
And also get top bunk.
I knew you would have
Full house to the big house. I love it. Good for her.
But to start at the beginning, Lori not thinking this was real makes me think she never thinks systems in place are for her. Right. She thinks she's above every system. That's entitlement.
Absolutely, and she's going to get what she deserves, because if anyone feels bad for Aunt Becky, I want you guys to look at this picture. Not that one. This picture right here. This lady named Tanya McDowell. She was convicted of first-degree larceny for what they say stealing an education, and she got 12 years years for sending her 6-year-old son to an elementary school in another district. Now, whatever she got, that 12 years she got, I want you to times that by 500K. Becky, I want you in there learning how to cornrow.
Wow.
I want her in federal prison learning how to cornrow.
Do you agree with that?
I think that an example definitely should be made of Laurie. Now, at the start, I genuinely thought, you know, that she had a really good advisor around her and it wasn't going to be taken as seriously, and a bit of a slap on the wrist. But the more we look into it, it infuriates me, because if she thinks she's higher than the law and the FBI
and the college admissions,
I just think then this is a different story. And I thought they were being really clever, and it was a bit of a ploy for the daughter to move in with the boyfriend. But now she's herself out partying, so it seems as though they really don't care and they're not taking it seriously at all, and they think they're just going to get off, and that does annoy me.
Yeah,
we're a step away from let them eat cake.
Yeah.
You know, they just come off their public image is really bad, and I think she handled this as poorly as she possibly could, and I think we're going to see the ramifications of that, because look, those jurors have televisions too, and how you present yourself. You know, people don't like to be talked down to. People don't like to be around people who think that they're better than them, and that's exactly how they're presenting themselves. And I think it's going to backfire.
Yeah, Becky.
Even worse, they have social media.
Yes.
Becky. Well, we have to give a big DBL shout out to this woman. Everyone learn her name. It's 29-year-old Katie Bowman. Here she is, watching in disbelief as her computer renders the very first image of a black hole. She is the woman behind this historic image. Katie wrote the computer program that made this image possible while she was a grad student at MIT. Here she is with stacks of hard drives with the black hole image data, and it reminds us of this other photo of MIT computer scientist and girl hero Margaret Hamilton with the code she wrote that helped put the first man on the moon.
That's what I did in college.
Is that what you did?
Most college students would be balancing themselves against that so they can do a cake stand.
Totally.
It's really good to see people actually using their education for like the betterment of all of us. I mean, I've always been fascinated with black holes. I've always been fascinated with just the stars in general, and I just loved that movie Interstellar. I don't know if you remember, but that movie is actually so accurate that they show that in astronomy classes as well. Yeah, it's actually supposed to be pretty accurate in terms of how black holes work. So
that's
it's
incredible. Everybody watch that movie.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, just in case you guys don't know why the algorithm was needed.
I was going to say.
Confusing. So they had telescopes from Antarctica to Chile to Greenland all working together, and she wrote the formula that takes telescopic data into a photo. So she created that info, and that was the first time she saw it rendered. So good for her.
I'm still trying to learn Instagram.
All right, guys, this is a great story. We have a brand new video of an alleged intruder. Take a look, guys. You can see police entering a home in Oregon after getting calls about an intruder locked in the bathroom. The homeowner said she could see shadows under the bathroom door. Watch as deputies search the home. They make it to the bathroom. What's inside? You can barely see it, but it's not an intruder at all. It's a Roomba.
Yes.
It's a Roomba. One of those little robot vacuums. Don't worry, the suspect is in custody and no one.
See, Tori, I worry about this story because it's going to turn this country against Roombas. I have one.
You love your Roomba. Love it.
I push it every time. Look, these are the best. You don't have to do anything.
But didn't you get scared once? Was there not a
I came out of the shower one time and maybe the Roomba approached, and like especially every guy thinks that like you're going to break into a karate stance. I screamed and jumped on my bed. So yeah, it's look, the Roomba got me that one time, but it's worth it. It's the best.
I'm going to have to take your hood card for Thank you.
We got the card. All right. Well, DBL is live. We'll bring you breaking news as soon as it happens. Coming up next, we have shocking new details on the backstage drama at The View after that explosive fight between Rosie O'Donnell and Elizabeth Hasselbeck. Our own Sam Shocker gets the scoop from the actual author of Ladies Who Punch, and that is coming up next. You do not want to miss this.
With the DBL digital team here. I'm tracking all the breaking and trending news and tracking the Game of Thrones theories. But let's go to the desk and see what's going on. Hey guys, what's happening over here? What's up, girl? What's up? I dig the glasses, Al. I'm really loving it. I know he looks amazing.
But you have to feel it out.
wardrobe extraordinaire, Carrie, just came in.
What did you call me?
I said she looked like an awning at an old Holiday Inn. But
You
know
said
what?
4 seasons.
I didn't say 4 seasons.
Yes, you did. 1980s.
All right, an old
4
seasons. No, I really like the look. It's very cool.
Isn't it cool?
It's very
menswear.
like, let's get ready.
I like
Let's get ready
that
for
green
spring.
color. That's a good color.
Thank you. So just so you guys know what happened, the prompter went out.
I saw
Something floated, and I'm not used to hosting as much as I so we have cards just in case. I don't think I've ever used cards.
Yeah.
So I was like,
You did
great job.
You
Okay.
didn't know.
Plus, we were on a VO. There was a picture up, so
good.
you wouldn't
Okay.
even they didn't even see you reading.
Right,
Okay,
and
good.
VO is
That's
voiceover while we're showing
voiceover, yep.
while we're
scary.
showing clips. But I saw Tori. I saw it happen in real time because I usually sit where Brandon sits or where Steph sits, and I was looking at the prompter and I was like, those aren't words. It just looked like kind of like computer code, like that MIT.
I was
with
like,
that MIT girl.
is that the
You
algorithm?
did so well.
That's scary, dude.
You did, that's really good, and how you handled it,
Thanks,
honestly.
man. My heart was a
Tori, let
pumping.
me ask you this: do you think that you're a little bit better equipped to do this because you did study improv?
That's it. That's the only thing. You're 100% right.
Right.
Amy Poehler created Upright Citizens Brigade, and I took it for 15 years from New York to LA. And in that situation, you are trained like police, like law enforcement. I'm not comparing myself to them, but that when something happens, you go into just a different mode. But it was really scary.
Now, Brandon, you were talking about doing some improv classes. What's up with that?
Yes.
Yeah, we finished them a month and a half ago.
So you already did it?
Yeah, we already did
How'd
it.
you like it?
Brandon, you
had
set your.
a
I
great
think
time.
that's the football player in you. You say you're gonna do something. Usually, you talk to people like, "Oh yeah, next fall." You do stuff. You didn't tell me. Like, tell us your
I
experience.
enrolled right away. I mean, it was a great time. It was just the yes and
And tell people what yes and is.
Yeah.
Yes and is like during an improv scene, you can't cut that scene off. So if someone's like, hey, you got a blue shoe in your foot, you can't be like, no, I have a black shoe. You just got to keep going. Yeah, it's blue, but it had black on the other day. You have to keep the scene going, and that's kind of what Tori did just now.
All right, we're gonna do a little right now. Stephanie,
Yeah.
this is very weird. I think I'm gonna ask you to marry me, but I need some advice. Like, how should I do that, Brandon? We're gonna get married. Where should we go?
Oh, you guys should go down to Vegas. That's where everybody gets married.
Well, she's been there a lot. Like, where else? Because I'm really nervous. It's gonna be. I want to propose to her the right way.
Canada.
There we go.
See, keep it going.
Welcome back to Daily Blast Live. An explosive new book is airing all the dirty laundry from behind the scenes of The View. It's the very first time since Barbara Walters launched the show in 1997 that we're hearing first-hand accounts from the show's stars about the drama and fights that took place
Joining us
off-screen.
on
Our own Sam Shocker spoke with the author of Ladies Who Punch, I love that pun, and discovered shocking new details about some of the most iconic fights on daytime TV. Here is part 1 of today's DBL Spotlight.
Joining us on DBL is award-winning journalist Ramin Satuda. His debut book, Ladies Who Punch, the explosive inside story of The View, is out in bookstores now. Ramin, this book is juicy, and given that we here at DBL are also a panel talk show, it hits a little close to home, just saying. Did you expect your book would receive this much attention while writing it?
You know, I've been covering The View for 10 years as an entertainment journalist, and of all the topics I've ever written about, there seems to be a lot of interest in The View. And I think it's because it touches on a lot of different sections in our society. It's women in Hollywood, it's Hollywood in politics, it's daytime TV. And I started to see it a few years ago as a book because I thought that there was an interesting saga of what was happening behind the scenes of the show.
Smart. So is that why that you chose The View over other talk shows? Have you considered covering The Talk or any other talk shows?
I don't think other talk shows have had the cultural influence that The View has. Certainly no other talk show that's currently on TV has had the impact, the caliber of hosts, everyone from Barbara Walters, who started the show in 1997, to Meredith Vieira, who launched her career and became an anchor on the Today Show, to Rosie O'Donnell, who is one of the most successful women in daytime television, to Whoopi Goldberg and EGOT. There were just really compelling characters on the show, and that's another reason why I saw it as a book.
It makes perfect sense. So speaking of Rosie O'Donnell, we have to talk about the infamous Rosie O'Donnell and Elizabeth Hasselbeck fight. Viewers will remember this was in 2007 over the invasion of Iraq. It ended up being Rosie's last day on The View until her return in 2014. So Ramin, what was going on behind the scenes after that fight?
It was a very difficult period for the show because Rosie and Elizabeth started out as friends, and then Elizabeth felt like Rosie was trying to produce her and trying to instruct her on how to be on TV, and she started to resent that. And so their friendship slowly started to pull apart, and they were very tense backstage. They weren't talking that week. There were guests that I talked to that were on the show that said between the commercials they weren't making eye contact with each other.
Wow.
And then they have a fight. It's about the war in Iraq, but it's also about their friendship and betrayal and whether or not they've been loyal to each other. And Rosie and Elizabeth have to separate during that commercial break. And Rosie leaves the show and tells her publicist that she wants to leave The View forever and she doesn't ever want to go back.
Yikes. So it was the buildup. Wow, wow, wow. Speaking of Elizabeth, there is that very viral leaked audio right now, the audio recording saying Elizabeth wants to quit following her fight with Barbara Walters over the morning after pill.
I quit.
What are you doing?
I'm quitting.
Why?
I don't need to be reprimanded on air like that by this woman.
How did Barbara respond?
Barbara was flustered and confused as to why Elizabeth wanted to quit, and she was insistent that Elizabeth has to come back because that was also a period of great instability for the show. Meredith Vieira had left to go anchor today. Star Jones had been fired. This is the summer hiatus before Rosie comes in, and it's really Barbara and Joy and Elizabeth. So if she loses another co-host, it would have been catastrophic for the show. And poor Lisa Loeb was the guest co-host that day, as we see in the video and leaked audio, and she had no idea what to do or think.
Whoa. So some stuff going on. That is a lot like our show. A lot of fighting.
I was going to say, like, wait, what?
No, nothing like our show. But I think it's interesting to see the story behind the story.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone wants to know. Everyone wants to know the juicy behind-the-scenes details. And you will see these polished characters like on TV that aren't always 100% themselves. So I think this opens and sheds a light on what really goes on sometimes in the world of TV.
That's the cool part about this show. We call each other out on air. So no need for behind the scenes.
Yeah. And I think it's like any workplace. I mean, you're going to have your issues, you know, behind the scenes, but sometimes people are wearing mics and stuff leaks out, you know, and it's juicy. When you're talking about things you're passionate about, sometimes that's going to spill over into laughter or anger in this case.
Or tears. Yeah. That's right. All right. Even more secrets are coming out next in part 2 of Sam's interview. Find out how Whoopi really felt when she started the show and why the recent fight between Meghan McCain and Joy Behar is actually good news. Plus, could this book forever tarnish Barbara Walters' legacy? All of that and more when we come back.
The brothers.
Oh, the brothers like the green.
What's that?
Yes,
What's that mean?
on the chart. The brothers, the black guys.
Yeah. Okay.
So talking about The View, Kyle Baxter, I'll never forget that heated moment with Rosie and Elizabeth. It was a full-out war. Stephen Hill was this cat fight, the biggest rating for this daytime show. I will say this, if y'all haven't heard, I'm not suggesting you listen to gossipy things, of course, but it's so good. Okay, so it's Elizabeth Hasselbeck's mic got leaked, and it's the footage of her fighting with Barbara Walters. And when she gets up off of the table from being reprimanded, her mic's still on. And it's her whole conversation backstage with the producer and Barbara and Joy in like the first season of The View.
Wow.
It's so good. It's so good.
Is that online? Can we listen to that?
Yeah.
It's
online?
very
Is it
good.
worth me going to my computer
and
typing
Hasselbeck,
that in?
who is very sort of uptight and somewhat Christian in all morals, is cursing like a something in a something.
You know that's private.
And a something in church. And she says, I don't even curse on the mic, and she just goes nuts.
Right.
So it's a really interesting, a lot of personalities on that show.
Right. But do you think you can have a show with 4 guys like that and then you have that much drama?
Isn't
Or
that
do you think
SportsCenter?
it's just like a woman?
Yeah, but I don't
SportsCenter
know.
has women as well.
I don't know. Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's. I think it's more personality types. I think if you have a volatile personality, especially a personality that isn't used to be disagreed with, I think that's where you get that. Whereas I'm like, yeah, I'm probably wrong.
Welcome back to Daily Blast Live. In part 2 of our interview with the author of Ladies Who Punch, we hear about how Barbara Walters went to extreme lengths just to keep the show alive. Here's our own Sam Shocker in part 2 of today's DBL Spotlight.
Are there any parts in your book that you have not been asked about? In other words, is there something really juicy that people seem to be glossing over? Tell us, please, please, please.
So one thing that I found really interesting was that there was a period on the show where Whoopi Goldberg didn't feel like she was being respected by ABC, and she was preparing to leave The View. And one idea that she had was to do a live-action sister act musical on ABC, kind of like Sound of Music Live and these other sort of live musicals that networks do. And the network completely passed on it. They weren't interested at all. She thought maybe she could have a supporting role. She wouldn't play the star, but she'd have the supporting role. And ABC passed on the idea of having sister act in prime time, which I think is kind of a bummer because I would have really liked to have seen that.
I would have too. I'm surprised. What a miss. Wow.
Can you imagine that live?
Yes. Big missed opportunity. I would have loved that. You and I both. You and I both. We could have done a viewing party and everything. It would have been fantastic. Finally, Barbara Walters, the woman responsible for all of this. Exactly how much power, Ramin, did Barbara wield on that show?
Barbara had pretty much absolute power on the show. She started the show in 1997. It was her idea. She was an executive producer. She owned half of the stake of the show. She liked to say on TV that often when co-hosts were fired, it wasn't really her decision. It was the network's decision. But Barbara was the one pulling the trigger. She was the one, deciding who could stay, who should go. And it was part of it was a survivalistic instinct because she really wanted the show to succeed. So when, for example, Debbie Van Noppels wasn't working, Barbara was okay with firing Debbie because it was important for her to succeed over being sentimental.
It makes sense. That's her baby. There is a Daily Mail article published just yesterday saying friends of Barbara are accusing you and your book of ruining her legacy. What is your response to that?
I don't think that this book in any way, tarnishes Barbara Walters' legacy. Her legacy has been cemented. She's a groundbreaking journalist. She changed television. She allowed for women to cover news, to enter war zones. And I think this book, in a lot of ways, is a celebration of Barbara Walters. But I wanted to do an honest portrait of who she, is and was on The View. And so there were things about her, like everyone, that weren't perfect. And I wanted to, show the multidimensional world of Barbara.
Yeah, I would actually argue, Ramin, I agree with you. I would argue that this book and her legacy with The View has completely reinvented her. I see Barbara as the woman that reinvented television. I see her as a boss lady. I see her as a businesswoman, and I think your book celebrates all of that. Before we go, we want your perspective on the Meghan McCain and Joy Behar fight going viral right now.
We've had a bunch of liberal guests who do not want to send in aid at all.
I listened to you. Let me just finish.
Yeah, part of your job is to listen to me.
And I know that your book predates Meghan on The View, but can you provide any insight onto what may be happening behind the scenes with the other hosts and Meghan right now?
I think every once in a while it crosses the line, and we saw that this week. But Meghan talked to me in the book about her respect for Joy, and they're politically opposite, but they've been friends on the show, and I think the show's doing really well right now. It's the best ratings it's had in 5 years, and I think the big reason why is that Meghan is the first Republican that the show's had since Elizabeth Hasselbeck, true Republican that actually debates the other women.
Yeah, and I think it's important to have both sides and to respect each other's opinions. So Ramin Satuda, thank you for joining us here on DBL. His book, Ladies Who Punch, available now in bookstores and online. I gotta tell you, you gotta get this book. It is so good. Thank you again, Ramin.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Have a fantastic day.
Will you guys be drinking that tea? We'll be right back.
Promotional.
Hey guys, I'm Abby and I'm here to bring you all kinds of tips on dating and relationships, and today we're going to be talking about how to revamp your dating profile or make one if you've never made one before, maybe on eHarmony, Match, OkCupid. There's 1,000 different apps you can try, so maybe put a profile on all of them. Who knows? So to start, keep your bio short and sweet. Some people will write a long, paragraphs long. I don't need to know that. I need like 3 to 4 sentences about who you are, what you like to do you have pets, do you have kids, maybe an interesting fun fact about yourself that I might not get by looking at your photos. And of course the photos are the most important part. While we love the bio, the photos are what catches people's attention. So the first photo needs to be something where I can clearly see your face and everything and how amazing you are, right? So we don't want something where you have sunglasses on or a hat or you're covered up, maybe all bundled in winter clothes. And also, keep the group photos out of play here. It's okay to have maybe like one where you're with a friend, or your family, your kids or something, maybe in a photo later on. But the first couple photos, make sure that's just you. It's also good to have one shot that's like a full body photo. You know, maybe this can be a little intimidating if you're getting back into the dating game. Maybe in a group shot you can see the whole body, because obviously, you know, that's something that people will be wondering, what does this person look like? Am I only seeing their head? The most important thing when you're creating your dating profile is to be honest, because you're probably gonna meet these people that you're meeting online in person. So make sure that you have current photos, no photos from college or when your kids were just born. Let's have something current. No mirror selfies. This is a hard no. If I see a mirror selfie, I tell people, take that down. I don't know why, but it's just not a good look. You can do a selfie like this, but just not in the mirror. And no filters, people. That is totally misleading, like the ones with dog ears and all that makes it look like you have perfect skin. None of us are like that. So if you're just honest with yourself and honest with everyone else, you'll find a great match. If you want more advice about jumping into the world of online dating, you can follow me on Instagram at Modernienta. Hey guys, I'm Abby.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. Albert?
Oh, Al took my comment duty.
Oh, it begins. All right.
It begins.
Really quickly, and I'll throw this out at you guys. Our girl, Kim Matuzak from YouTube says, wow, girl power, way to go.
That's Katie Bowman.
I'm loving that. I mean, that was what an amazing story. Look at that.
I predict that photo of her becomes a Pulitzer Prize photo itself.
All right.
Because seeing that is an incredible.
It should.
All right, but you're kind of doing that with a lot of photos.
No, I just did too.
Eventually you're going to hit and be like, I told you.
But isn't that photo 55 million years like a little late, you know?
All right. And really quickly, I'm going to try and get this last one in. Donnie, regarding the Roomba incident, says, that happened to me once, except it wasn't a Roomba in the bathroom. The intruder was my wife's boyfriend. So we're going to end up a little bit.
All right, we'll see you same time, same place. Great comment.
Sorry, Donnie.
Sorry,
Try
Donnie.
Tinder.
Bye, guys. See you tomorrow.